Mic check, 1, 2. Hey everyone, I wanted to kind of do a quick video. You know, I say this 3 hours later, but do a quick video about how to make this pattern right here. So this pattern, call it the Q-bert pattern, based off of the 80s video game. Woodworkers have been using this pattern for quite some time. I don't know what this is called. It's a tri-weave or some sort of tessellation. I could just call it the Q-bert pattern, and I wanted to make it in Lightburn and figured there was probably a way to do so, but I didn't know what to call it or search for it or whatever, so I kind of basically had to learn it all by myself. And I wanted to make a video to kind of remember how I did it and also just help anybody else who may be interested in making this particular pattern. So I'm going to go through the process that I did. I'm going to show you how to make this pattern in several different ways, and it all starts with this little guy right over here. Any one of these. It's called a rhombus, and the rhombus is basically a diamond, right? So you got this diamond here, and the key to the rhombus is that it has, on these upper and lower angles, that's got to be approximately, it's got to be 60 degrees. So if these are 60 degrees, any four-sided object is going to add up to 360 degrees. So if these are 60, these are 120, and this is the perfect shape for making this pattern. And I thought, okay, well that's easy because it's basically like a square, right? So I made a square, and I rotated it, and I soon found out that the square is called a square because it's got 90 degrees on all four corners. It's a perfectly symmetrical piece of geometry, and so that doesn't make the shape I wanted. And I thought, well, here, I'll just squish the square, and now I've got a rhombus, right? The only problem is that I don't know what that angle is. So if I duplicate it and then rotate it by 60 degrees and then duplicate the next one, I can already tell you that that's not going to work. And rotate by a negative 60 degrees. Oops, duplicate negative 60. There we go. Yeah, so that doesn't work. It's a cool looking object though, so I'm going to save that. But not what I was looking for. So I figured I could use a triangle, right? So we'll make a perfect polygon, and I see what's happening here, and I'll walk through it. Don't worry, I got you. I'll show you what I'm just showing you the process I went through. So the next part was just making a perfect triangle, and I'm going to make this width and height exactly the same, even numbered, even within themselves. It could be 3, it could be 7, it could be whatever you want. It could be 1 or 2. I just let's just make it 4. We'll make it 4 and 4. So that's a perfectly even polygon, and I'm going to get 3 sides. And so I have this triangle, and when the height and width are equal, this triangle is exactly 60 degrees. And I'm going to duplicate it and rotate it at 180 degrees, right? So now I have 2 pieces. I've got this top piece and I've got this bottom piece. Right? Undo, undo. There's my rhombus. I'm going to now offset it by 0%, and I should have, there you go, 2 pieces. I have the original triangles. We'll get rid of that over here somewhere. And then I have the skinned version with the offset, which is that rhombus. Get over there. So this rhombus, made from those triangles, should be the perfect shape for making this pattern. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rotate it by the left axis by 60 degrees. Ah, look at that. I'm going to duplicate it again and rotate it on the right axis by negative 60 degrees. And now I have this wonderful shape. It's like a cube, right? And I'm going to make my Q-bert pattern. I'm going to make this something like, with the width, I'm going to do like, let's see here, let's just do 3. And the reason why I want it to be a whole number, doesn't matter what it is, just want it to be a whole number because it's easier to remember that. I'm going to go to the array, and when I make my columns, if I know what that width size was, that's my X spacing. I'm going to make that 3. And now all of my cubes are lined up directly on side by side. On my rows, let's see here, let's make that the bottom number just for the heck of it. 3, 4, 6, 4, 1. 3.4641. Huh. Look at that. So it looks like I may have come close to making that Q-bert pattern, right? It's almost there, like you can see the start and finish of it. But what happens is, let's edit the array. I love this create virtual array because I always end up hitting enter or pushing a button and screwing something up, so I can always go back and readjust. If I render this piece out, it's very similar to my Q-bert pattern. The only problem is that this and this are actually holes. They're not geometry, right? So the way you can tell is, the great thing about the rhombus is I can go back and isolate each one of these tops, bottoms, and sides, right? And with the virtual array, if I do that, let's make the top blue. Let's make this side green. And let's make this side red. You can see where the gaping holes are at, right? So let's go back to our select it all and hit edit array. And now what I want to do is I want to do a shift by half and kind of eyeball bringing these down together here. We're close, right? We're going to give myself a couple more pieces. 1, 2, 3. That should be fine. Yep. Hit OK. And now what I want to do is basically kind of zoom in to see what's happening here and make sure that I'm not overlapping. It looks like I'm dead solid. Look at that. That's beautiful. Let's go out. There we go. I'm going to right click again and flatten my array, and now I've got my Q-bert pattern. Real simple, real easy, made from a rhombus. Couldn't be happier, right? So that works for me. But let's say I just wanted to make the grid version, right? This grid version right here. And I like using the rhombus, but let's say I'm in a hurry for whatever reason. I'm in a hurry. I'm going to use an octagon because it looks like it's just an octagon, sorry, a hexagon. I'm going to use a hexagon with just 3 lines in it, right? So why don't I just do that? I'm going to take this hexagon and rotate it 90 degrees, and then I'm going to right click on it and convert it to a path, right? Zoomed in on it here. And then I'm going to use my pen tool, and as I hover over a point, you'll see that my cursor changes. See that? My cursor's changing. So I'm going to come over to this point here and hover and click when my cursor changes, and then go to the center, and as soon as I get to the center, you'll see my cursor change. It kind of snaps, right? See that? So we'll click on that, and then I can go either to this corner or I can go down. Doesn't matter, right? Let's go down here. Click, and I got this dangly part. I'm just going to right click off of that. Then I'm going to go back to the center, cursor change, click, and then to this point, cursor change, click, and then right click to get rid of the dangly part. And now I've got my starting shape for a Q-bert pattern. Let's just make it 1 for now, right? Let's zoom out. There we go, and we're going to do our nice little shape with the array. This is going to be a 1. And I'm going to make my columns. Right? And then I have my half shift. And I'm going to work my way up. And then I got to kind of come back down and make it a line. And I said, again, I don't know what this number should be. I don't know what the ratio is for this. I'm trying to figure that out still. But I just kind of eyeball it. And what you'll notice is, let's zoom in, is that, you know, this is the original. This is the next column up that shifted it by half, but it's coming down, and it's coming down almost a third, right? So does the number need to be a third of the height? Is that what it is? You know, you offset it. Let's go back to the edit array. I want the Y spacing to be the exact same as the width, so they line up equally. And then the rows, I just make them, and then I dial them in by just kind of bringing them down until they line up. And you can zoom in closer if you need to, or zoom out to get that lined up perfectly. And once you have what you need, you can flatten it, and you're good to go. So that's the down and dirty version of making the outline, which I like that look as well, for sure. I don't have the individual pieces of a rhombus anymore, so I can't do that, which is the downside of this particular version. But then I started realizing that if you look at this, you know, there's a hexagon there, and then there's another hexagon there, and another hexagon there, and another hexagon. So you got overlapping hexagons by half, and then you've got hexagons on the bottom and hexagons on the top. And you can actually make this pattern without even adding the lines, so long as you just have a hexagon, right? So let's make a hexagon. Oops. Okay, I'm going to make it a number that's easy to remember, so I'll just call it width of 3. I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees. And when I go into my array, we're going to make this 3, right? But really what I want is I want it to be half that, right? On my width, look at my width got all messed up. Let's go back here. Let's go. I thought I had the width at 3. Let's make the width at 3. There we go. And we'll do the array. And let's see here. This is 3. And when I make my columns, that's good for when I try and do it the other way, but these need to be half of that. So let's make this 1.5. All right, and as we work our way through these columns, we'll start to see these row of diamonds, right? That's the same as like this row of diamonds or this row of diamonds. So now when I make my rows, I'm going to just put some gigantic number in here to separate everything. I'll do 5. You have these rows. I just got to bring these down until I start to see this pattern, right? So I'm just going to work my way down. And as soon as I start to see this pattern, I know I'm pretty much locked in. So let's work our way down. I don't know what this number should be, but we're getting close. And I think we're almost there. There it is. There's my Q-bert effect. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to render. And there's my Q-bert effect. Now with a bunch of, you know, hexagons, but I didn't have to add any shapes. I didn't have to color anything. I just made it with the array tool. Now, what does this do, or how good is this? I don't know. I just wanted to show that you could do it. So that's this pattern here, whatever this is called, the Nito Woodworkers Q-bert pattern. And this is my way of just kind of remembering what I did and how I did it. And I thought I'd share in my journey for that. And I hope that helps you guys, you know, the making of the rhomboids. or the rhombus, the use of the array tool, and the virtual array. There's a lot of really cool things in there that you can hopefully glean and utilize. And then the fact that you can take these individual rhombuses and then change the pattern or the burn rates will allow you to have, you know, different depths on each one of these cubes. You could even probably just make one a line, and now you've got a super interesting pattern. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, but there you go. Let me know what you think, if that's helpful or not, and I appreciate you watching. All right, take care.